What is up, everybody? It's Mafioso, Bugs, whatever you want to call me. And today, I have finally taken the time to talk about my life of how I wanted to become a storm chaser and what encouraged me. Because, back very young then, like basically 11, 10, I was basically a normal boy who just liked playing games or watching TV because, I was very young at the time. I didn't really have much games or whatever. Anyways, so May 15th, 2013, another 5 days before the Oklahoma tornado outbreak, which took the lives of some people, even including one of the best storm chasing teams known as Twist X. Rest in peace to them. May 15, 2013, there was a North Texas tornado outbreak for Fort Worth, Tarrant, Parker, basically, pretty much all of North Texas. Anyways, I was watching the live weather channel, where they have these, because I'm pretty sure they barely do it to this day, but in the old weather channel, they would have storm chasers out there with live cameras of them in front of the large tornado, or the large tornado in front of their view. I was like, oh, this thing actually looks scary. So, as these tornadoes went on, I got the storm, but the storm for me didn't really produce tornadoes. All it did was produce heavy lightning, a lot of power outages from these lightning strikes. And that was pretty much it for me. But, as soon as I learned about what this tornado thing was, I was like, I gotta learn more about this. There's this video on YouTube that was very old, but to this day, it has been removed years ago. I don't know when it was removed, but it was a good informational tornado video before it was taken down or deleted years ago. I don't really know what happened to it. Anyways, I learned about tornadoes, what they would do, and, all that. But, since I was very young, my dad just said, "Oh, no, get him off that. We don't want him to watch that." I was like, "Oh, he'll probably get scared." I'm like, "But I want to learn about weather." Anyways, a few later on, my dad is finally okay with me getting used to this weather stuff. I got really addicted to it. Half through these years, there would be tornado warnings for me and all that. Like, I had this one time in 2017, which, was very not long ago. I was still in Fort Worth at that time. I'm not in Fort Worth anymore because where I lived had a bad neighborhood. But anyways, I was on my bed playing Fortnite or whatever. I had my controller. I was laying on the bed with the, pinned up TV on the wall. My brother was on his phone. Talking to his friends, scrolling through Instagram, basically the normal stuff. Later on, as I'm playing Fortnite, I'm in the lobby. I'm not in the game yet. I hear him. He goes, "Tornado warning." I'm like, "What do you mean tornado warning?" He's like, "Did you know that we were under a tornado warning?" I'm like, "No." And so I get up. I go to my dad. I'm like, "Hey, there's a tornado warning. How did we not notice?" He's like, "Yes, I know there's a tornado warning." I go outside, and the thing is, it's like very dark behind us, but in front of our house it was like very clear, and I'm like, okay, so the storm is behind our house, but it's very clear out front, and we're under a tornado warning. Eventually the storm dies, and I was like, okay, that was a bit weird. Fast forward to April 28th, 2021. I was on my mom's personal computer playing Roblox, but looking also at the day outlook. I saw that I was an enhanced or slight risk. I believe it was one of those that day. We were in favor for some tornadoes. I'm like, that's interesting. And as I'm looking at this more weather stuff, my mom comes into my room. Well, I was in the room with my sister, actually. Mine and my sister's room, because my sister was already dressed, getting my little sister dressed. She goes, "Hey, do you want to come watch me play softball, or do you want to stay home?" I'm like, I'm going to go with you because I don't want to be home alone during a tornado. And I'm like, if we ever get a tornado warning tonight and I'm home alone, I will immediately cry. So I was like, because I was kind of young that time still. So I was still kind of young that time. So I really didn't want to be home alone during a tornado warning. So anyways, we go to the softball field. It's only a little cloudy. Later on, as it gets darker, I see a bit of flashes of lightning. Clouds start getting darker. My phone buzzes from the weather channel, like with that noise where it goes doo doo doo, or their little 1 second sound of a weather alert or whatever. I see severe thunderstorm watch. I'm like, okay, that's a bit interesting. Eventually, a second later, it turns into severe storm warning. I'm like, okay, why are we getting alerts so quickly? 2 minutes later, tornado watch. I'm like, okay, this is very scary. This is not normal. What is going on? And I started thinking to myself, okay, this storm's coming in fast if we're just getting these issues of these alerts every 3 to 2 minutes. And then 2 minutes later, tornado warning. I'm like, okay, so now we're under a tornado warning. Sirens go off, and the manager of that softball park was like, y'all need to get out of here, get out, game's canceled, get out now. We listened to the alert. We figured the tornado is rain wrapped with the rotation. We're like, okay, so we got a rain wrapped tornado, or it's still rotating. We don't know. And then we called my sister. We were like, hey, we don't know if we're gonna come to your apartment, or we don't want to outrun this in a rain wrapped tornado to our home, because our home was kind of far from where my mom was playing softball, but my sister's apartment was super close. So we were like, do we want to get to safety and go to my sister's apartment and just hide there and wait till the storm dies out, or do we want to take the risk and go home? And a few minutes later, my mom decides, you know what, we're gonna take the risk, and we headed home. So as we headed home, we're watching the alerts, watching what the storm's doing, and then down the street on the way home, it's 9:30. The tornado warning wasn't supposed to expire till 10. We eventually figured out it expired because the storm immediately weakened or died, well, because how fast I said it was moving, it probably moved out fast. I don't remember what happened to that storm that day. I don't know if it was still going, because like I said, we got these alerts like very fast. But anyway, 2025 to 2024, we started having constant tornado emergencies, all these deadly tornado outbreaks, large high-end EF432 tornadoes. I'm like, okay, so this is gonna be a deadly 3-year start of tornado season, isn't it? And here we are on May 25th, 2025. We're almost in June. Basically 5 days until June is when, basically the first beginning of summer, and possibly a big, season and active pattern and all that for tornado season, because we all know that when it comes to summer, to April to the summer, May through the summer, one of those, tornado season is really active. Tornadoes are going to pretty much everywhere. These tornadoes are becoming large, deadly, nocturnal, making it hard for people to understand when there's a tornado coming, because it's nighttime, so you really can't confirm where it is or where it's at. Basically all you can do is just take shelter and just pray it doesn't hit you. But the only time you could know if the tornado is near is if you hear roaring, so you'll know that it's really close, and you gotta head to that shelter as immediately as you can. Fast forward to not April. I think it was April of this year, or March, April, one of those months this year. I was sleeping peacefully. It said tornado storms, or not tornado storms, severe storms with a possible tornado tonight. We never got the tornadoes until 5 in the morning, or 5:30, or no, the warning said it would end up at 5:30, my bad. So at 4:59 or something, 4:50 something in the morning, I hear a Siri voice off my phone saying tornado warning, which is the emergency app. I have the emergency app on my phone too. I hear Siri tornado say, oh, tornado warning. Plays a tornado siren, repeats tornado warning. My dad's like, shut that up. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, because my entire family was asleep, so we don't want to hear a tornado siren and a tornado warning message repeat. I'm like, okay, but there's a tornado and it's 4:50 in the morning. I mean, I get it's almost morning because it's like, almost 5 o'clock, whatever. But don't you want to take shelter or whatever? And he's like, just go back to sleep. I'm like, Okay, that's a bit interesting how you want to sleep during a tornado. So I just decided I'm not going to go to sleep and just wait till this warning expires. You know, eventually the warning does expire and I go back to sleep. Later on, I figured out that there was a tornado in Louisville and Irving. They did like very minor damage. I think one said one hit a warehouse, and the other one, I don't know what that one did. I think he said something about an elementary roof. I could be wrong. Elementary school, something. I could be wrong. So yeah, that's my experience with tornadoes. You know how I became this like weather lover. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. I love y'all. Goodbye.